The Veilkeeper, cloaked and faceless, confronted them. Their voice was like ice and fire intertwined. You think unity can endure? Every bond breaks. Every crown shatters. I am what comes after. A furious battle erupted. Lyra's arrows ignited with holy light, Doran shattered chains with every strike, Ira danced with blades of fire, and Seraphine unleashed ancient wards. But the Veilkeeper fought with power beyond mortal reckoning. At last, Kalen struck the Shard of Night with his pendant. Light clashed against darkness, and an explosion shook the city. The Veilkeeper vanished into the shadows, but the shard remained, pulsing with hunger. Chapter 6: The Choice. Back at the Hall of Unity, the companions debated what to do with the shard. Seraphine insisted it must be destroyed, though she feared such a thing might unleash its darkness into the world. Doran suggested locking it away deep in dwarven vaults. Lyra worried that hiding it would only delay disaster. Ira argued it should be used as a weapon against the shadows themselves. Kalen, caught between his friends' voices, felt the weight of destiny heavier than ever. The pendant in his hand grew warm, whispering words he could not yet understand. Before they could decide, grim news reached them. Armies of the Veilkeeper had already marched beyond the Ashen Wastes, attacking border villages. Creatures born of darkness, winged horrors, beasts of smoke, men without souls, ravaged the land. The peace they had fought for was unraveling, and though the crown was whole, it was powerless against this ancient shadow. The companions stood upon the balcony of the Hall of Unity, watching the horizon darken with storm clouds and war fires. Kalen turned to his friends, his eyes hard but resolute. Our first quest brought unity. Our second must bring more. We cannot face this darkness as 4 or 5. We must rally all of Valerian, or all will fall. And so began the War of the Veil, a struggle not just for a crown, but for the very light of the world. Chapter 1: The Call to Arms. Kalen's words echoed through the Hall of Unity, and the leaders of every race answered the summons. Elven queens, dwarven lords, desert chieftains, and human kings gathered beneath banners of peace for the first time in centuries. But old grudges still lingered. Dwarves mistrusted elves, humans doubted the desert tribes, and whispers of betrayal hung heavy in every chamber. Kalen stood before them, not as a king, but as a shepherd turned hero. His voice was steady. If we bicker while shadows rise, the Veilkeeper will not conquer us, we will destroy ourselves. Reluctantly, the council agreed. Armies began to march, banners unfurled, and war drums beat. Yet unity born in fear was fragile. Kalen knew it would not last unless something greater bound them together. Chapter 2: The Siege of Emberfall. The first great clash came at Emberfall, a human city on the borderlands. The Veilkeeper's army descended like a storm, black smoke blotting the sky. Creatures of nightmare surged through the gates, hollow-eyed soldiers, wolves made of flame, and monstrous constructs of bone and shadow. Kalen and his companions fought at the front. Lyra loosed arrows that burned with silver fire. Doran shattered siege towers with his hammer. Ira danced across the battlefield, blades a blur of red and gold. Seraphine summoned wards that shielded whole ranks of soldiers. But victory came at a cost. Thousands lay dead, and though the city was saved, the people of Emberfall whispered in fear of the Shard of Night that Kalen carried. Rumors spread. Perhaps the heroes brought the shadow with them. Unity frayed once more. Chapter 3: The Spy in the Council. As the armies regrouped, treachery struck. A trusted counselor, a human noble named Lord Varric, was revealed to be a spy for the Veilkeeper. He had fed the enemy's secrets, sabotaged supply lines, and stoked division among the allies. When confronted, Varric laughed bitterly. You speak of unity as if it were a shield. But fear binds stronger than love. The Veilkeeper offers certainty, while you offer only hope. He was executed, but his words lingered. Doubt spread like wildfire. Kalen realized the shadow did not need to win every battle, it only needed to poison trust. The next confrontation came at the Lake of Blackmere, where an elven host made camp. The Veilkeeper unleashed a new horror, a leviathan of smoke rising from the waters, swallowing ships whole. The elves, terrified, began to retreat. In desperation, Kaelin raised the Shard of Night. Its power flared, lashing at the leviathan and weakening it long enough for Lyra's arrows to pierce its heart. But when the smoke cleared, all eyes were on Kaelin, not in gratitude but in fear. The shard's dark energy had corrupted his arm, black veins spreading beneath his skin. "Are you one of us?" a dwarven general demanded. "Or one of them?" Kaelin lowered his gaze, unsure of the answer. The companions quarreled for the first time. Seraphine insisted the shard must be destroyed, even if it meant losing their only weapon. Ira argued they could not win without it. The Veilkeeper's power was too great. Doran warned that if Kaelin fell to the shard, all their battles would be for nothing. Lyra said nothing, but her eyes never left Kaelin's hand. Kaelin himself was torn. The shard whispered promises of strength to protect his friends, to end the war, to save Ilarion. But he remembered Thrain's words in the mountains, "When the crown is whole, you will tear yourselves apart for it." And now, it seemed, that prophecy was coming true. In the dead of night, as the army camped near the cliffs of Morath, Kaelin dreamed, or perhaps did not dream. The Veilkeeper appeared before him, their cloak billowing like a void. "You carry my gift," they said softly, gesturing to the Shard of Night. "Why fight me, when together we could end this war? Unite under shadow, and no kingdom would dare resist. You would be remembered not as shepherd, but as Emperor of Eternity." Kaelin trembled. For one heartbeat, he almost believed. But then he thought of Willowfen, of his sheep grazing in golden light, of a world where laughter rang freer than war drums. He clenched his fist around the pendant. "I was not chosen to rule," he said. "I was chosen to protect." The Veilkeeper's mask tilted, unreadable. "Then you will fall with the rest." The armies of Ilarion rallied one last time. Despite fear, despite mistrust, despite the looming shadow, they marched beneath a single banner, the Crown of Unity. Kaelin led them toward the Obsidian Vale, where the Veilkeeper's fortress rose like a wound upon the earth. Dark storms churned overhead. Rivers boiled. The land itself recoiled from the power gathering there. The companions stood together on the eve of battle. Doran rested his hammer on his shoulder. Lyra strung her bow. Ira whispered a prayer in her desert tongue. Seraphine's silver-lit eyes burned with resolve. Kaelin looked at each of them, his corrupted arm hidden beneath his cloak. He felt the shard pulsing at his side, and the crown glowing at his back. Light and darkness warred within him, and the fate of all Ilarion would be decided in the days to come. The War of the Vale had begun. Years later, bards still sang of the War of the Vale, though few remembered the shepherd who had stood at its heart. Kaelin returned once more to Willowfen, his flock grazing beneath the golden sun as though the world had never trembled. His arm bore the faint black scars of the Shard of Night, a reminder that darkness never truly vanishes, but can be endured. Lyra wandered the forests, her people slowly welcoming her home. Doran rebuilt halls where laughter rang louder than hammers. Seraphine became High Magister of a new order, teaching that magic was not to divide races, but to unite them. Ira roamed the deserts, a legend whispered among tribes. And the Crown of Unity lay once more in the hall, not as a weapon, but as a symbol, a promise that light could return, even after the longest shadow. Kaelin often told children who came to hear his tale. Heroes are not those who seek crowns, but those who choose to protect what they love. Remember that, and the world will never fall to darkness. Darkness will always rise, but so will those willing to stand against it, not for power, but for love, hope, and unity. The greatest battles are not fought with swords or crowns, but within the heart. Power tempts, fear divides, but true strength lies in resisting both, and in holding to hope even when shadows rise. Shadows thrive where unity falters. Victory against great darkness requires more than courage. It demands trust, sacrifice, and the strength to resist temptation, even when hope seems faint.